Hi, I'm Edwin.
And I am Jack, and welcome back
to the 950 Club. Woohoo!
Damn, friend!
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the 950 Club. Today we'll be talking about our best shows of 2022. Are you ready for this?
We had to dive deep into the year of anime, and oh my god.
I think we had to rip out our guts for this one, man. This was brutal, man.
Yeah.
There were so many good shows. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? I actually have two best of lists. One for Isekai and then one for everything else.
Yeah.
Because there was so much good Isekai this year and so many good other shows where I'm just like, there's no way I'm fitting this into a top 10.
Yeah.
And so, between some stealing, some borrowing, some begging, and a lot of soul searching,
Yep.
I managed to get this list into shape. And so whenever you want to get started, Jack, we can jump in.
Okay, yeah. And we usually start from categories to voice acting to music, and then finally up to the end to the best of the year. We're doing similar to Crunchyroll Awards. We're still going to factor in a lot of other stuff. I have a secret category for Edwin, by the way.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so other than that, it's one of those things where, I'm curious what Edwin will pick. And of course, what I will pick, Edwin will either be patient with me or be mad at me.
There's going to be some fights, guys.
Oh,
There's going to be some fights.
That's the best fight winner right there, Jack and Edwin. So first, we're going to do best Isekai.
Okay, so I have my top 5 Isekai of 2022.
And I'm going to mention which one's my favorite, right, as Edwin mentions it.
All right. So 5 is a tie between Rising the Shield Hero Season 2 and Overlord Season 4.
That's a safe bet, and that's my weakest of the bunch, too, or at least for Rising the Shield Hero Season 2.
Yeah, I mean, both of them, I think, had their problems and their detractors. And actually, I think it was for Rising the Shield Hero. Even the author of the manga said that this was one of the weakest stretches of the manga itself.
Yeah.
And I know that the creators of the anime said that they really wanted to rush through this. And so you get kind of like a disjointed, WTF, what's happening?
Yeah.
With Naofumi and Raftalia and Philo. The whole getting transported to another world arc again.
Yeah.
But I did like how their character arcs played out in that new world. Seeing Raftalia, seeing them all grow and change into kind of like these different versions of themselves.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Like we were mentioning with a few shows this past year, baby steps. And this one, Rising Shield Hero, is the only one where because we adore the first season. This season, though, we're like, I don't know. I really don't know.
It was good to see these characters that we love again.
Yeah.
But it was rough. There were some narrative choices where I was like, what? Yeah.
And even the manga author was kind of like, this part's kind of weird, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was like, what's happening?
Yeah. But it became more video game isekai that I adore. My favorite of the isekais.
Well, it felt like, here are your favorite characters. Let's toss them into a different world.
A different scope of things too. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what? Aren't we already? Isn't this already an isekai?
An isekai.
So
we're
now,
isekaiing out of this world to the other isekai.
It's like things in this world aren't interesting enough already. So let's toss your favorite characters into another world where they're going to get abused. And Raphtalia's journey from becoming a child again to becoming like the ultimate sword warrior, I was like,
Ultimate Katana Warrior.
with a pet Raphtalia.
Raccoon, a pet raccoon.
Yeah, that's essentially Raphtalia.
An avatar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, is very. It was confounding.
It was one of my favorite.
Philo, I was angered by the what they did to Philo.
Yeah,
that
Philo was. She had a raw deal this season.
She definitely got the raw deal this season. I kind of want to see that character grow up a little bit more.
No.
Let's see what happens. And then for Overlord, this season, I know there's a lot of detractors because it's veered so far away from the books, the source material, that people are not happy. I enjoyed it. It returned to form for me. And this is what it usually does with Overlord. They kind of like go all over the place throughout the season, but it always gets back to Lord Aigul. It always comes back to him and his machinations.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my favorite parts of the show. But I do also like the moments where even he's confounded by like what the world has thrown at him and what his lieutenants have thrown at him. And he's just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to 4. Me and Jack both loved this. As far as OPs go, opening title sequences go, I think this was one of Jack's favorites, just solely for the music.
Oh yeah.
It's Skeleton Knight in Another World.
Excellent placement and wonderful Isekai, but definitely the only one this year compared to Overlord, even compared to Rising Shield Hero Season 2. Kind of the most not interesting in terms of like the world, but the character and the humorous moments, the OP-ness of the OP, pretty dang good.
It pretty much uses humor and the awkward situations that the main character gets into to drive the story along.
Yes.
Because like you said, I mean, I wish that they had done more world building.
Yeah, and when we mentioned it in our initial review of it, I really liked it. I even liked the world because it wasn't like complex or anything, but the politics were definitely like becoming a factor, and that became like a stalling point with the show. And with your review of it too, I'm like, Edwin's right. It's mainly because at the end of the day, you don't really care, at least for the first season. So,
well, I think that you can have great characters and you can have funny moments between your characters.
Yeah, interesting races and characters.
Well, that can drive a series.
Yeah.
But I think it's always a benefit when you have something going on in the background that's just as interesting so that they can interact with it and you can see that clash.
Precisely.
This show doesn't.
Yeah.
Skeleton Knight doesn't deliver on... You get pretty much the generic, like, the humans are trying to enslave the beast people story, and that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And you get, like, your characters are going to fall on either side. But it wasn't, like, it was disappointing because Skeleton Knight himself and his elf sidekick, or his elf partner, like, they become really interesting, and that kind of dynamic between them where it's not quite a romance, but maybe it could turn into something.
And it becomes like a Uzaki-chan moment where the sibling and the mother have a crush on him too.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's so nice.
Yeah.
And so you're like, but I think overall, I think it was a great show.
It's cool.
And I think the only reason it comes up higher on the list than the other two big shows is because they failed so hard this season. It's not like they were bad, but I don't think they delivered on the promise of previous seasons. And I think that's why Skeleton Knight...
The ongoing aspect of it, because Resident Shield Hero is still my number one.
Yeah, for you.
Because the first season's that fucking good.
Yeah. So my number 3, and I think this is going to come kind of as a shock to Jack.
Try me.
Because of... The only problem is that it was in this year with 2 other shows that I absolutely adore. That's why Reincarnated as a Sword is my number 3 for 2022. Yeah. But shock. Jack's going to understand.
Shock.
Once Jack hears the rest of the list.
The first shock of our discussion right now.
Once Jack hears the rest of the list, I think he'll understand why.
State your claim.
Well, I will state my claim by listing my number 2.
Okay.
Which is Princess Connect Redive Season 2.
I'm not going to be mad at Edwin with that.
Right? See? You can't be. You can't be mad. You can't be mad because you knew how much I love this show from the first season.
Yes.
And I love that he's able to bring his friends together and they are able to defeat the fake princess and Princess Pecorine and Carl. They all do it together, and it's just I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't like. This was almost my number one.
Yeah.
Because I just fell in love with that show so hard.
And I personally like season 2 more than season 1.
Yeah. I actually think season 2 is funnier.
Funnier and a little bit more stakes.
Yeah.
The rare
stakes
combo.
are really, really high.
Remarkable.
And just his struggle to not have this situation repeat. I don't know how many times this guy has watched his friends die, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Like he's like, not this time, for the love of God. And they tell him, look, dude, you might not be able to make it another time.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He wants to go back. He does not want to go through this pain again. He does not want to lose his friends again for who knows, like the 50th, the 100th, the millionth time.
Yeah.
He is determined, and he sacrifices himself. I mean, you get your happy ending. That moment when they're back in the clubhouse.
The guild house, yeah.
The guild house, and she's like messed up her hands trying to cook for them, and she makes food for Pecorine, and it's just like you don't want to burst into tears, but you're so fucking happy.
And this is a show that's utterly ridiculous because
it is, dude. This is based on a game,
based on a gacha game.
Based on a gacha game, you know, with like it's mostly just cute characters. Most of them are just like,
and the game is more harem, which is fascinating because you would think the other way around. No, the anime is straight up adventure, friendships,
guilds,
barely any romance whatsoever.
Insane guilds that are just like wacky all over the place.
I love the other guilds. Oh, I adore them.
Oh yeah, all of them, all the guilds, from the crazy like poisoning people guild, to the seamstress guild,
yes,
to the like music guild, to like the forest guild, everything. They're all like they're cute and adorable.
They all have quirk and
they're all played. It's all played for laughs.
Yeah.
But you know, it has so much heart that I'm like, I can't.
No, it's more than fair because I play the game, and Edwin got me into this show and game. I thank him for it.
You're welcome, sir. And my top Isekai
I'm curious now.
of 2022 is Ascendance of a Bookworm Season 3. And Jack can't fault me for that either. Because
far from.
Yeah, because we were waiting for this.
Beyond the fault of it.
Yeah, we were waiting for this for such a long time that it's like, oh my God, finally it's here. And finally we saw and that's actually one of like, Jack was asking me like about my favorite fight scenes. That's actually one of my favorite fight scenes of 2022.
That was a whole arc too, or at least 2-episode arc.
Because you finally see the clash between
God.
the people who are trying to protect her, are trying to protect mine, and the people who are trying to take her down for their own benefit. And it plays out, that season plays out. And that, talk about a gut wrench, gut punch season.
Every episode.
You're just like, oh my God, what's going to happen to mine? Oh my God. You're so invested with these characters. You're so invested in her life. You know what the stakes are. This show does a great job of dramatically showing you what the stakes are for this girl entering this world of power and like, you know, how as a woman, not only as a woman, but as a small child entering this world of men, this medieval world of men where you have lords who treat people like they're subhuman. And, you know, you have these conflicts of corruption of the state and the church and the lords all coming into play, and how her life is, you know, like they're like cattle.
Yeah.
Just barely above slaves to these people, and how their lives are just like can be taken at a whim by this aristocracy. Mine is just loving and smiling, this bright, shiny centers of the world that can just be snuffed out on a whim. And you're just like, oh shit. And watching this play out was just like, that was one of my favorite, like while all the other shows had like, you know, like Fran from Reincarnated, and you know, Reincarnated as a sword, or like watching the climax of Princess Connect Redive, or even getting to see Overlord again after like a 4 or 5 year absence. All of those things being able to visit with Naofumi and Raftalia again. That was why these shows made it into my top Isekai of the year.
Precisely.
But like the payoff for Ascendance of a Bookworm was so strong. Reincarnated as a Sword may have won, you know,
That's my number one
for fall.
Yeah.
But for as far as the year goes, there were just too many things for me personally that came to a resolution or came back this year and that's why my list shaped up the way it
Ascendance
did.
is also in that rare category beyond Isekai. It's like top anime in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's why for my number one I placed Reincarnated as a Sword, because it's a refresher back toward the source. And most surprising, like, this show grips you.
Yeah. Well, that's why this was so hard.
Very.
That's why I had to make a top 5. That's why I had to make an Isekai list.
Yeah.
I had to make a list just for Isekai because this year was so stacked with shows where I'm just like, yeah, I have to.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah. And you're going to be more surprised by my top 10 anime of 2022.
Fair. More. And there's
not be surprises.
I highly doubt we're going to be on the same page. I don't blame you.
No, not with this year was all over the place.
Don't blame you.
Way too much anime. Yeah.
Precisely.
So what's next, Jack?
Well, we'll do the best slice of life. And how we're going to do this is because most of the shows that I mentioned, they're not in my top 10, but I want to give a special shout out towards.
Okay.
Like Raven and Consort, like we mentioned in our fall anime review of 2022. It's cool. And definitely one of the most removed shows of the bunch. It's not a genre like defining show, but oh my God, it packs a lot of
it does.
pizzazz, let me tell you. I even like the opening of the show. It's quite cool. It's like a throwback.
Misted.
Yeah, it's almost like a lounge singer in the 70s.
It is a 70s. It is a sound. It is a 70s lounge singer vibe.
Which one we didn't really mention, kind of like of the Korean soap operas, the court soap operas.
Yeah.
Those type of shows. Even Japanese, I think, had court shows.
I don't know why they felt the need to have like
only
a 70s
reason. That's the only
singer.
That's the only thing I can think of because of those old shows. Yeah.
But yeah, the first time I listened to it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no. But then it grew on me as the show went along.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. It's like, you're not bad.
Then there's ones that Edwin still has to catch up on, like Dance Dance This Year. I really like that one. That one definitely needed a little mention. Q, we mentioned back in our winter one. That one's
really like that one.
That one's good.
I watched a few episodes of that. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I recommend finishing that one. Another one that it's got lost in the shuffle. It probably would have a resurgence for all I know. It's Akabe Sailor Uniform. Definitely slice of life to the T.
That one was a beautifully drawn show.
Yeah.
I remember, like, the thing that stuck with me is the artwork on that show was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Like especially there's an episode where they're drawing. There's an assignment where they have to go around the school drawing what they see.
Yes, that's a good episode.
And those the between the drawings and the scenery in the background, it was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. My personal favorite episode's similar to Bocchi the Rock, where a student that plays guitar, that's like her only thing to do, but she's still trying to get back into it. It's like I relate to that greatly because I go back and forth with my guitar. I could play like classical nonsense to, okay, I haven't done it in a while. Why haven't I done it in a while? It's like a disconnection. But Akabe kind of like encourages her to get back with it. Like, you can do this. Do what you love. So.
Yeah, that's my only criticism of the show is you have a hard time figuring out what this show is until you realize it's really just about these girls getting to know each other.
That and Akabe ultimately being like that, similar to Horimiya, where Hori's kind of like, yeah, I want you to be A-okay, like that type of protagonist.
Yeah, she kind of becomes the glue.
Yeah.
That kind of like brings all these people together.
Precisely.
But you also see the people kind of falling in love with her.
Yeah.
Along the way, and not in love in the way, like not in love
in typical anime sense. Let's put it that way.
Not in like a romantic sense,
but
more like a sisterly sense.
Yeah.
Like, this is somebody who's important to me because of the way that she sees the world and the way that she interacts with it.
Yeah.
It's very novel and different.
I agree. It's also a show, like I said, I feel like because of Bocchi the Rock, shows like that, it'll definitely be like a new wave getting, at least checking that show out.
Well, dude, just watch that for the artwork. There's some moments where I'm just like,
No, I voted as my best art direction, by the way. So
Oh, I can see that. I
yeah.
can totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful show, but there's moments where I'm like, it's unnecessarily
Gorgeous. Yeah.
well, no, it's never unnecessarily gorgeous. It's gorgeous, but like, it's a little too detailed in some of its renderings.
I know.
And I thought,
It's almost movie studio quality. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
But yeah, and the other ones that are super popular, like Bocchi the Rock, Komi Can't Communicate, Uzaki-chan. Yeah, those are shows that are definitely in the mix, but they're more on the comedy side. And one that I was so close to putting as my best slice of life is Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. Oh man, that one.
Why didn't you put that in your slice of life?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's almost there. It's my number 2 technically for the category itself.
Oh,
if we're
slice
doing,
of life?
yeah, if we're doing by rankings, it like the ending of the season. I wouldn't say it's tame, but it's definitely like.
Well, I don't think the show is ever about. I don't think that show is ever. It strikes a balance. It does find a
It's
balance.
balanced to the T. Don't get me wrong.
It finds a balance between the violent Yakuza elements
Yeah.
and the elements of him being a caretaker for this girl. It does manage to strike a good balance between those
Yeah.
two.
It's just
And I thought that's what makes it a strong show, because it's not really about the violence. It's about family, figuring out where you belong, and figuring out that you don't need to be. He didn't need to be that person.
Yeah.
In order to get along in the world. It's about him growing up for her, so that he could be a better like guardian / parent figure for her.
Yeah.
And not only that, but to be a responsible adult for the people around him, for his family who care about him. They just happen to be, Yakuza.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Because near the end, it's kind of like unfamiliar territory. I'm like, I don't want a full-on drama. I just want back to the slice of life elements.
Well, it works as a slice of life, and it works as a drama, and it manages to walk a fine line between both of them.
Yeah, even comedy.
Because it's absolutely, I mean, you can't be Team Cherry if you're not,
Especially that episode alone.
Team Cherry!
Team Cherry!
I was not sure what that episode was.
That's the number 180 episode of the year for sure.
Absolutely. And then that it was just a dream made it even better.
And it had dramatic elements. Oh,
well, it was just like a what the F moment in the
Yes.
middle of the cute, adorable slice of life.
Yes.
But no, I think that show manages to be a drama on top of the fact that it's also like, what could have been a throwaway premise.
Yeah.
I think it manages to really pull at the heartstrings.
And then if I had to choose my number 1 slice of life, like this is what I think of a slice of life for the year. Call of the Night. And Edwin, okay, I think I know why Edwin has his look. Mainly, I would say, because the last 2 episodes are definitely like a 180.
For me, it wasn't the 180 of the last 2 episodes. I just didn't see this one as a slice of life.
I do.
I get where you're coming from with that. I don't know.
Okay, because there's a lot to take in, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And
well,
like
that show does a lot. I mean, there are moments like it's not a narratively, it's not a particularly strong show.
thus the mundane aspects with
Yeah.
the slice of life. That's why I emphasize that.
Yeah, it plays it pretty safe with the narrative, but between the illustration, the music, the opening, the closing, it gives you this bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Where it kind of it definitely leaves the manga in the dust, but it's all those elements working together that make this oddly kind of like an 80s Miami Vice show.
Well,
Which was
with the
like-
colors, yeah.
But like I wouldn't
With the
like
pop.
there's no way I could see the argument for putting it in a slice of life
The conversations, the people connecting with each other. The whole episode where he's talking back with his old school friend, Akira. Like going back in time, essentially, is like what went wrong? Nothing went wrong. Growing up was what went wrong.
We just the distance.
Yeah, and
that happens.
And she was his cheerleader since day one.
Yeah,
but he's aloof, literally lost his own element. He has a crush on a vampire. I don't blame him, but also like you're gonna make a jump. You're gonna make a choice, and a lot of slice of life tends to ignore that topic, or at least like no. We're just seeing it from the outside perspective. No. This is a show that also brings you back in the interior perspective.
Well, because it's a much more adult show, I think, than a lot of other isekai.
Very, and for slice of life in general too.
Yeah, like this is it's a horror comedy / romance.
And slice of life has all the elements at play with those genres too. With horror, that's like the rare exception.
For me,
it
would lean more into the like horror than the slice of life.
It didn't scare me, even like the gruesome scenes.
No. I get it. Yeah. I get it. I mean, I get it. You can have a slice of life. I mean, I watched.
one I can't help but think of is Let the Right One In. That one's technically
there's definitely similarities between these between this and that. This is definitely played more for drama, not drama like I guess you would say slice of life drama.
Yeah.
But this doesn't play out the way a lot of other slice of life shows play out, because you don't get like this isn't like a work slice of life comedy. This isn't like a school teenage slice of life comedy. This is a slice of life comedy / romance mystery / something else.
Like Inspector. Like you have no idea what else is in there.
Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen. But it's about kind of like this show is hard to explain to people who haven't watched it. It really is, because it is so many things, and it is a slice of life. But like I said, it's not about like it's not a working man slice of life. It's not really a high school slice of life. It's not your college slice of life. It's really about being lost, being just not fitting in anywhere, and it's that slice of life show where we just don't fit in because we can't, like, it's just not working.
All right, well said, Edwin. That's why I so latch on to that, at least for that category, what you just said. So, following that up, because we're going to mention all these categories. I mean, we have to keep up with Crunchyroll and all that crap. So
they have a lot of categories.
They do. And to be honest, a lot of them, we're definitely going to vote for our favorites. They'll probably mention ones we haven't even watched or care for, and we're like, no, that one's the winner.
Well, there's a lot of the bigger shows this year that I haven't watched.
Like Girlfriend. I could see that being like, oh, this is best comedy. 89%. No.
Was Girlfriend even this year?
Yeah. This past summer, I believe.
Really?
I believe so. Or spring. One of the two.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one of those shows I'd like to forget.
And yeah, that's what I mean.
Which makes me sad because, like I said, I enjoyed the manga. The anime was not. I mean, no. Yeah. There were choices that they made where I was just like, why did you make this guy so annoying? Yeah.
So with that said, we'll step back. We'll go back to the 180 sphere of anime with manga. If you had to choose your best manga of the year, or honorable mentions even, like a list category, what would you mention? Komi
dominated this year for me.
Did you like the last two volumes?
Yes.
Where she's in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I thought that was a fun change of pace.
It is.
It was fun to see them traveling.
Mm-hmm.
The skiing one was awesome.
Skiing one was good. I like that one.
I've enjoyed
the school play too. Yeah. That was awesome.
I've enjoyed watching these characters grow and change and go through all these trials and tribulations. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I'm here for more.
Have you gotten more fond with the rival?
Yes. Which
she's cool.
Didn't really want or expect.
She's the anti-rival.
Yeah, because she's Komi's friend. They're rivals, but you kind of get the sense that no matter what happens, they might still all be friends afterwards.
Yeah. It's like it's almost like my team romantic comedy, Snafu. Kind of like that dynamic.
Well, that was a
Yeah. Talk about a head-splitting experience.
That was a rough ride, man. That was a rough ride. You wanted to smack people.
Oh.
You know, anime does things to people.
It's not to the extreme, not gonna lie, but
That show
yeah,
did things
it's
to
more
me.
of that dynamic with three rival in the middle kind of thing. Yeah.
That's what she said.
Well, that's what she said.
Oh my god.
But yeah, okay. So call me, no question about it. It's
Yeah.
up there for me. However, if I had to choose, because I had to read this after watching the anime last year, Maruko-chan.
Oh,
The
nice.
manga is really good.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
That's what you told me.
And especially volume 6 and 7, because that's a unique thing about the show. The show's only went up to 3 volumes ish. And what Edwin told me, because I haven't read the first two, because I literally tried to continue after the first season, was that it's set up differently and more characters are introduced earlier than expected. At
Yeah.
least what I've seen in the later volumes.
There's definitely an odd vibe to it.
Yeah,
Like there's
it's a little bit different than anime for sure.
yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the anime tries to set up like the jump scare kind of element, but it's effective, very effective. But this one's like more like there's factors at play.
Well, there's definitely the manga's a little bit darker.
Yeah, that too.
It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit more graphic.
Yeah.
In both senses of the word,
Mhm.
whether it be underwear shots or
The anime does that differently
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit less provocative
That
in the anime.
it's almost like a play with horror movies in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're watching horror, so you expect to see that.
Yeah.
But there's definitely it's a different sense when you're watching the manga. But I when we're watching the anime. But yeah, that was really good. That was kind of a surprise
Yeah.
that how much I ended up liking the manga. Like even though it was a little bit different than the anime itself, that's definitely worth reading.
Now with that, we're going to be going straight to the music. The music. Do you have a favorite score, perchance? If you had to think one,
I think for me, um, Love is War,
it's
Ultra
beautiful.
Romantic,
Yeah.
yeah,
The music in
like
general for
yeah,
all the seasons, it's gorgeous.
that just kind of like stole everything.
Yeah, especially like the guitar breaks when they have that romantic interaction.
And then the rapping episode,
Yes, yes.
there was the rapping ending, but also that episode, I loved it
Yeah.
because the rap battle between them, I thought was hilarious. Uh, yeah, for me, it would have to be the winner on a lot of things would be Love is
Italy
War,
sucks.
Ultra
Yeah,
Romantic
in season
because
3, yeah.
yeah, because we're gonna get into like the closings and the openings
Oh,
of
yeah.
other shows, and like I don't know how a lot of them are gonna beat. Like
For
there's gonna be a war between
or
Call of the Night and Ultra
well,
Romantic
speaking
because
speaking
yeah,
of double, because best score, I had a tough time, very tough time with that because Call of Night is in there. The music is underrated as fuck in that show. It's
yeah,
gorgeous music. Drony, kind of like atmospheric. Then there's the laid back camp movie. Music's pretty dang good. Everyone still has to see it. Akabe Sailor uniform, gorgeous music, similar to Super Cub from last year. Demon Slayer, very underrated with the music. Very
yeah.
underrated. Nobody even thinks about the music, but they should.
That was on my list as
Yeah.
well.
At least for the Entertainment District arc. And the opening and closing there as well. But if I had to choose best score, officially, Spy Family.
Nice.
Cowboy Bebop flair, but definitely it has a charm and it's the most repetitive tunes in the show. The trumpet part. It's like I'm not watching anime. Right as I hear that music score, I'm watching either a 60s Avengers type of like show.
Well, that's the whole point for
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
But it's like that jump. Like, no, we're
Well,
going to come back
it's
to the anime
it's
part.
like it's like with Call of the Night
Yeah.
where the music adds to the
The eeriness.
it makes the show like I said the narrative itself can be kind of mundane,
Yeah.
but the music adds to this other layer to it. And it does the same thing in Ultra Romantic and then the same thing in Spy Family
Yeah.
where the music like lifts it up to a different level where you're like, man, what would this be without the
Yeah.
music?
Exactly. Even Komi. I give another shout out to Komi. Komi has excellent music too. I didn't bring it up for first season last year. Music's really good. All right. But now the bread and butter, everyone's favorite category. Best opening and best closing of the 2022 Once again, I have a top 10 for opening.
Of course you do, Jack.
Of course I do.
Because you love the openings, you love the music.
I know.
Yeah. For me, my top opening, because it's just one. I know you have your list.
All right, we'll go with you
we
first.
can go through. I mean, I know that I suspect I know a lot of the shows that will be on this list.
All right.
But for me, my favorite opening of the year was the first. I mean, music and art was the first season of the first half of Spy Family.
Edwin, I'm going to spoil you because for my number one over my 10, because I'll mention the 10 regardless, but my number one is Spy Family, the second half.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Over so many good ones.
Yeah, well,
so many good ones.
But they're so good.
I know.
It's
and the
so
first one is
good.
not shabby.
No.
Not that's
Shabby.
No,
Jack, it's awesome.
You know what I mean.
It's better than the second one.
If I had to choose, the second one's so good.
I'll let you have it, sir.
Our second shock moment.
This is our shock moment. But I love that we're not on the same page, but we're on the same page.
Exactly. Because my other 10 are Uncle from the Other World, Demon Slayer Entertainment District arc.
Yeah, that was almost.
That could be winner Crunchyroll for sure.
Yeah, that was almost. Yeah.
One you want, I like Princess Connect, the second season opening.
I did like that one. Yeah.
It shows all the characters, how they do it. It's seamless. I love it. I adore it. One that's kind of underrated, Ascendance of Bookworm opening. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Something about it. It's just like
I think for all of them, they've never been like uberly strong.
Yeah.
But they've always been consistently good.
Yeah. Then this one you might be like, okay, maybe. Rent a Girlfriend opening this year.
I actually did like. Yeah.
Something like the choreography of it, the music too bounces off really good.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't make it to your slice of life list.
Oh, okay. Duly noted, because I have it for a secret spot later.
Oh, okay.
Ranking of Kings, I have to give a special shout out towards it. The music and art are phenomenal. At least, and that's like my number 5 right there. Holy cow. Number 4 is a shock. Because that one's just going to be like, what the hell? Skeleton Knight.
I'm not surprised.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
But it's not my number 1. You think it'd be your number 1.
I didn't think it would be your number 1, but I knew it would be on the list, and I knew it would be pretty high up because that rock, nobody expected that rock.
Yeah.
Just like the guitar, like.
Yeah.
Nobody expected that, but it works so well.
It makes the show. It really does.
It really does.
Yeah.
That opening, like the show doesn't quite live up to the promise of that opening.
Yeah.
But you can't fault it for that because damn, that was cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it gets into really tough terrain.
For you, I know it's going to be really hard.
It's a good son. It's like I have so many kids I'm going to drop down the cliff. Number 4 is a shocker too. Call of the Night, number 4.
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
I hate that. I hate that so much. And okay, because I did Ranking Kings, Skeleton Knight.
Well, I thought your Skeleton Knight was number 4.
Okay, so Skeleton number 4. Call of the Night number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 is a shocker. Reincarnated as a Sword.
Really?
My number 2.
Oh wow!
It's the best art direction one of the bunch too.
Okay.
Like how Fran, it's riding on a sword because that's a teaser. That's like, oh, that's kind of cool. She's riding on a sword until the final seconds of the first season. Mwah.
Yeah.
It was a good preview there, but also like how the music bounces off when she's killing the demon, the goblin horde. Oh, it was great.
Okay.
Great. And then at the end where she poses with the sword and the moons are in the background. Okay. I love it. And even the beginning too, it has a dark overtone, kind of like Berserk. The first like 10 seconds, I'm like, what is this show?
You're like,
it's in the same craziness level as Skeleton Knight.
I can see that.
But yeah, number 1, Spy Family, second part opening. When yours, practicing with her Sai, oh my god, the art direction's gorgeous. It's definitely a top favorite all time. Man, it took a lot out of me. This year it was probably best.
There was a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
It
for
was
openings.
a good, really stacked year for
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
yeah.
A lot of quality production.
And I even mentioned Kaguya-sama. I mean, that's an excellent opening. Komi had an A-OK opening. I like the closing more though. So with that said,
Now closings.
closing. I'll mention some honorable mentions because this is the most obvious category of them all. Komi, like I said, great closing. To Your Eternity season 2, the closing.
Okay.
Recommended if you haven't watched that show. Call of the Night, definitely number 2. That one's a strong number 2. Could be number 1 last year, this year,
It
no chance.
no chance. I can completely see that. That song
For the closing, yeah.
well, the closing, not only the song, but the artwork. Um, dude, like I could talk for hours.
The art
about
direction's the best.
the art
One of the
direction.
best, yeah.
Just not only the art direction, but what they're trying to say between the song and the video. What they're trying to say about her, Nazuna. It's just like wow,
ingenious. It
like
is, yeah.
mind blowing. But there's another closing this year that I think that just stole our hearts, and like Jack even said, this belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
And I will let you do the honors, Jack. The number 1 closing of 2022.
Kaguya-sama,
Love is War.
Ultramanic closing. It's a Smithsonian exclusive. Like, do it. Bid for it.
Yeah. Now, for me, the closing from the first, I thought that they couldn't top the closing from the first season,
I like the closing from second season too. It's not
where
bad.
she's literally an angel and they're steamships, and it's totally
Steampunk.
like this steampunk like fairy tale where she's like an angel.
Even Ghibli,
I
like,
know. I'm
should
like,
think of that concept.
I'm like, what? I'm like, I would watch that show.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are they gonna top this? And then they do, and it's just like, oh my god! So they steal fucking Starship Troopers.
Yes, yes.
And I'm like, what?
It kind of reminded me of Daft Punk's One More Time video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like blown away by the fact that it's like you're like, what?
Yes.
I was talk about things that you were not expecting.
That's the ultimate non-expecting closing
Yeah,
of them
like,
all.
what is happening here? Yeah.
And the music's gorgeous too. It's a throwback song. It definitely, like, it could have been like an 80s, 90s anime right then. There.
Yeah.
Just so many factors.
Well, I love that they factor in the steampunk still.
Well, but cyberpunk on top of
Yeah.
it.
Well, you have the cyberpunk, but then they go full on sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like he's fighting
To release this angel.
I know. Then he's just like running and he's jumping into the air, and then you're like, and she's the angel that's being held by the evil like bug queen.
Yeah, yeah.
But then he saves her, and everybody else sacrifices themselves, and I'm just like, oh Jesus!
Yeah, and
this is a story unto itself.
Yeah.
It's an anime. It's a closing that's a sci-fi closing with steampunk elements that is a story unto itself.
Yeah. And that adds another inkling, another like, this is why Love is War is so special.
Well, they spend enough effort on these 2 closings where those 2 closings could be premises for animes themselves.
Yeah. And even
it's insane.
And they have another secret Chica dance type of ending with the rap battle.
That was to see them in that style.
Yeah.
Was like, oh my god, like
phenomenal.
Okay, you blew my mind again in these 3D like more adult kind of like versions of themselves.
Yes.
I thought Kaguya in the trench coat.
Yeah. And Chica too. Chica.
Look, man. Anime usually doesn't do it for me. Because it's like, okay, just doesn't. Like every now and then you're like, oh, this is kind of exciting.
Oh, there's exceptions.
Yeah, there's exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
But seeing like a grown-up Kaguya in that trench coat,
mind blown.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have a new thing now.
Well, that's the thing.
A new thing that's an old thing. Yeah, it's like, whoa. Okay, when's that figure coming out?
Well, for me, it's the angel figure. That's my number 1 request.
Oh, well, I would love to see them in the Starship Troopers uniforms. That would be...
Especially Chica.
Yeah.
Because she has her little bow for the helmet.
Well, how else are you gonna know it's Chica?
Exactly.
Come
Because you
on.
don't see her hair until she
Yeah.
takes off the helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love talking about that ending. We did 2 episodes talking about the ending alone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty. Well, with that aspect, we did the music. Now with the voice aspect of it. Do you have a best ensemble? Like you can think of like a best overall performance with the crew and the cast? Because I could share mine. For example, it's Kaguya-sama. That's up there. To Eternity, definitely up there. Definitely needs the recognition. It deserves it. The Quintessential Quintuplets movie, really good job throughout the board. Jujutsu Kaisen 0, very underrated, at least performance-wise for the movie. But if I had to choose my favorite of the bunch, Uzaki-chan wants to hang out.
For ensemble?
For ensemble.
I think for me it would be Demon Slayer Entertainment District.
No shame in that. Oh no, everyone's shaking his head.
Well, no, I'm not shaking my head. I'm laughing because I'm recalling the insanity that was that show.
Yeah.
And just the 3 of them and their bonding together and then forcing them to play girls. That worked so well.
Yeah.
With the crazy guy, the crazy sword guy that's like leading their team.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh
He
my
has his
God.
own wife's harem.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is this? But I thought, for me, I mean, I love Spy Family. Love is War.
That
has a
definitely
great-
deserves some earn. It probably
like,
will win it.
Yeah, like those are some great ensembles. Like they're like working together. Yeah.
Lycoris Recoil. How about the vocals, voices there?
The voices, I like the voices. I prefer the Japanese.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the Japanese
I tried
cast,
both.
I think. Well, I mean, if you were going to do a duel, I think that the Takina and Shisato's voice actors are some of my favorites from about the entire season, the entire year.
But with Azaki-chan, because I wanted to save this, especially for this discussion, like because I didn't really mention my slice of life vending machine corner. Like this is a show that's like even more ridiculous than Chainsaw Man. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
Uzaki-chan wants to hang out.
Yes.
Yeah, this season really kicked it up a notch.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, my only complaint about this season is that I think they could have done more to make it crazier.
Okay.
I do love
I thought I was just there.
No, I think there should have been more because I felt for the longest time that they spent way too much time in a holding pattern. And I think if you would have had more craziness and more zaniness, it would have been a more pleasurable ride. Yeah. But it does stall out at times where I'm just like, all right, are they going to get together? Or are they not going to get together?
No, that's the ending. It's
Well,
the biggest, it's the biggest FU of the year.
I can agree with that, sir. I can agree with that. But you know what? It's the ride.
Yeah.
That's the most fun.
And that's the whole season, because a lot of people complain. They're like, "Oh, there's nothing happening. They're only concentrating on the supporting characters." No, that's the setup.
That was the point.
Yeah,
that was the point.
Like because you see Uzaki's family, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that explains a lot."
Yeah. The whole point of introducing the families was like, yeah, this is what these two people are dealing with. No wonder they're so messed up.
Especially our main character, yeah.
Yeah, it's like no wonder they're so messed up, and no wonder they're so who they are. But at the same time, it was like, if you were going to go that route, you needed to go bigger.
Yeah, well, I think it was just there mainly because, for instance, showing Uzaki's family, like the mom's not registering all the cues and stuff. She's ridiculous. I know, I love her a million pieces. The brother too. The brother is actually pretty good, and the younger sister's just a brat, like trying to stir trouble. And the father, of course, the poor father.
Oh, I didn't feel bad for him at all. He dug his own graves.
I know.
Yep.
And he's the weirdest drawn of the bunch because he's completely opposite from everybody. But yeah, that's kind of like...
Yeah, he's very oddly stylized.
Yeah. He's smaller than the main character, which throws me off. I'm like, he shouldn't be
that's
bigger.
fine because, I mean...
He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
He's a swimmer, too. So,
yeah, he's long and lanky. He's like our friend Derek. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I
Shout
could
out
see
to
that.
Derek.
Yeah. Derek, get on the podcast, man.
Derek. Alrighty. But yeah, quick little tidbit with Uzaki-chan, because I want to give us good kudos to
You had
Ensemble.
to get it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use my Uzaki points for that.
Okay.
But now, for the bread and butter, the best voice acting performance, if you had to choose one, Edwin. For me, if I had to choose my best voice acting performance, the number one, Soria Anamiya, who plays Nazuna in Call of the Night.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I love it. I mentioned in our review of it, like the preview, like the essential trailer for the show for Call of the Night. It's the only line of dialogue is her voice, and it's just perfect pitch, perfect like delivery.
She does such a good job of being like kind of sultry,
Yeah,
but without trying to be sultry.
and she's repulsed.
That gets into my discussion of the closing.
Yes, yes.
Is that here she is being like objectified as kind of like this sexual being when she's obviously not and doesn't want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like so far from it. And I think that the actress did an amazing job of coming across as like this sultry, sexy vampire.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I don't want to be.
yeah.
But it's like I'm playing this game with him, but not really. It's a joke. And her laugh was annoying, and like she makes this she's got this laugh.
It's the raspiest laugh from them all.
Yeah, like have you been smoking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see that one. Like I made a list, but there wasn't anything that like there was a lot of performance. There was too many performances that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Especially in the Japanese, to break it down like that. I mean, shit. Kaguya was awesome.
Aoi Koga, always. And she's also Komi.
There were so many, like, Yor and Anya.
Yes.
And, like, there was so many.
Anya
like,
is also Vivi.
Yeah. And then Shisato. There was just so many performances this year, voice acting wise, that I'm like.
Nana Kanazawa, she's also in Quintessential Quintuplet. She's the main villain monster in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Another honorable mention I want to mention is the Beholder from To Your Eternity. If you ever watched The Seventh Seal, the Ingrid Bergman film, he's kind of like Death in that film.
Okay.
In the same tone and everything. And the actor is Kenjiro Tsuda. Excellent performance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a selling point for me, too. It's the reason why I kept on watching the show.
Oh, wow.
He's such a fascinating character.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have not caught up on that one, so I need to catch up on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see, in the sea of new anime for 2023.
The ketchup of the decade. Oh, man.
Pretty much.
I'm in your boat, too. But other than that, after the vocal performances in the ensemble, we do characters. Oh, man.
Which is even harder this year.
Very.
Because it's like, man, how do you pick when you have Kaguya, when you have Mine, when you have Bocchi, when you have Fran, what's her name from Dress Up Darling, Marin, when you have Shisato, it's like when you have Komi, it's like, how do you pick your favorite character from like a sea of like fucking awesomeness?
Well, I'll try my best.
Well, good luck to you, sir, because I couldn't do it.
Well, I think you would agree with this one, at least. For starting off small, we're doing best supporting character. I did the sword teacher from Chitsu from Reincarnated as a Sword.
Best supporting.
Yeah, he's ultimately the supporting guy.
Yeah.
He really is.
He does. It might be Reincarnated as a sword, but Fran steals the show.
Yeah. Precisely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then for best boy, I did Fushi from To Your Eternity, season 2. He won me over for this season. And this season has gotten a weird flack. I don't get it because people love the manga. People like the first season. I think he's better in this season, at least the character. So, and then for best girl, I'm now in Edwin's camp. Like, how do I choose this one?
Yeah, I have. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you
all the girls.
This is my list for best girl.
Oh my God.
Yes. It is a page long. I could not I don't know, I don't want to rip my heart to shreds.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not good sunning
look,
this.
Power, Nezuko-chan.
You like Power.
Marin, yes.
You like Power.
Yes.
I don't like the other girl either, but you like Power.
Yes. And that will get into my discussion of the strength of Chainsaw Man and its ultimate weakness.
Fair.
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah. But like Komi, Raftalia, Shikamori, Takina, Shisato, Kaguya, Chika, Mine, it's
Your-
like, how do you like Anya? How do you pick a best girl from this year? It's insane.
Kaguya.
Liar.
I did lie, but I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Avatai, it's all those girls mentioned. Even Chisato, I've grown more fond of. So,
But my best boy is Tanjiro.
and that's more acceptable than anything. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful best boy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then for the best main character, though, of all the bunch, and I'm being on the ball with this one. We talked about this character throughout the day, throughout our recording sessions today.
It would be. I know who you're. It's Fran.
Fucking
Yeah,
Fran.
Fran.
Damn, Fran.
And mine is Chisato.
And no shame in that.
Yeah, mine is Chisato. I mean, she embodies the cheerfulness of that trope,
Yeah.
but it's born of her desire to change.
Yep.
It's born of her desire not to make people smile. Well, to make the world a better place because she's spent her life being a killing machine.
Yeah.
Because her gift is death. And so she's refuted that gift and she's decided to embody this and to make people see that you can make the world a better place through your actions and your attitude.
Yeah, for sure. And then with Fran, like we mentioned, basically, like, this is the only character this year caught you off guard. Definitely, like, you didn't expect nothing more, nothing less. But oh my god, how Trans ascends
Well, because she's
up towards the galaxies.
she's a shonen archetype hidden inside of the body of a cat girl.
Yes.
You know, a cute cat girl, but she's a shonen with a salty, with some with the cuteness level matching Anya, but like with a shonen like archetype matching what's his face?
You name it. All of
You
them.
know,
Yeah.
but you know who I'm.
all of them.
Deku.
Deku.
So she's got the Deku archetype
Yeah.
inside of an Anya with a sassy mouth, and like these hilarious expressions. She's way more complex than I think anybody expected her to be,
Oh yeah, for sure.
except for the fans of the manga. And so I can see why she became like your top character.
Oh yeah. Now we're getting to the bread and butters. But before we do the biggest one of the bunch, I want to give the secret category.
Okay.
The Edwin was right category. Technically, my favorite catch-up. Edwin's recommendation. There you go.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple. Bottom tier, Tomozaki. Excellent one. Shikimori is not just a cutie.
There you go.
That one's cool. I didn't hate it initially. It was like the first episode. I'm like, I'll take my time.
Okay.
It was that type of show. Bocchi the Rock. That one, the same kind of like trajectory. I'm like, I like it. I just need a little bit. And then you were like,
I'm like, you have to watch this.
My heart. I'm like, all right. Lycoris Recoil. That one's the biggest. Jack.
Sorry, Jack.
Fair.
Yeah.
But the one that Edwin definitely was like, I see Edwin's eyes and how he mentions it, his tones, how he wanted this one. Number one, my dress up darling.
Yeah. I told you.
All right. That was the biggest. Ha. Jack, you naive little boy.
You fool, Jack. You fool.
Because it's good. It's a show that
Edge Runners isn't on there.
Edwin was mistaken category.
Oh shit.
And Jack was naive category.
I think that's more the Jack was mistaken category than anything else. But I'm glad that you watch those shows. I'm glad that you like them because I never intend to be like pushy or like rub things in people's faces. That's never my intention. My intention is always like I like something, I'm passionate about it, and I want to share my passion with people. I want to be like, hey guys, I think this is great. I think you should watch this. And if I say that, it's not because because I think it's something that you will enjoy.
Yeah, precisely.
It's like I found things that I liked about it, and it's always like, I think you will like this. And usually what usually ends up happening for the most part is that I I'm proven right
Yeah.
by outside people. Like if the creator of Metal Gear Solid likes
Kojima.
Lycoris Recoil, I'm like, well, I mean,
And he's
how can it get a better stamp of approval than that?
the ultimate geek. Yes.
And then with Bocchi the Rock, I mean, it's beating Chainsaw Man on my anime list.
That was a slow burn too, at least for the end of the year. And
yeah.
I think I didn't see too much flack, but I did see a lot of people were like, okay, I get it. Reactions towards like, oh, it's all hype. I'm not in that category. I'm more in a sense of like,
well, you know me, I don't like hype shows.
yeah, I'm
not
hesitant
like,
to myself.
I like shows that are gonna deliver the way the Call of Night did.
Yeah.
You know, where
I was thinking that was going to be an explosion.
Yeah.
Just there.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, like where you're not expecting much, but then all of a sudden they surprise you by firing on all cylinders. They've got the music, they've got the art, they've got the writing, they've got the, you know, like shows like that, like Lycoris Recoil, where they give you something that you weren't expecting and they deliver on it.
Yeah.
Whether it be like, you know, like I said, the art's amazing, or the story is amazing, or the voice acting is amazing. But when I recommend a show, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's that gut reaction where I'm like, this is good.
Yeah. Well, with My Dress Up Darling, it's definitely the most unique of the bunch because it's a hobby show. And
yeah.
Which
I don't know why it took so long.
Well, for me, it was because of the character Marin. She's in the trope of the seasonal girl. That's becoming more of a thing.
No. I don't understand why it took so long to have a show that was this adult or this mature.
About cosplay.
Fair.
Very fair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But also with the aspect of like what you see with other shows. That's what I was expecting. Similar to Lycoris Recoil. But with this one, it was definitely like, there's nothing wrong with it. And Marin has her place, especially with
in
like
the Pathenon of like,
and she's the hottie. She's similar to the
but she's like, and see, this is what I mean by cosplay, because you had like idol shows where the people cosplayed and stuff, but Marin is like somebody, she's just like an amateur who like us, is passionate about anime, passionate about video games, and she expresses that passion through cosplay. But she's an amateur who doesn't even know how to sew. And so she's trying, you know, and she's got like her favorite cosplayers that she follows. And so I felt it was like, that was fucking awesome because you don't see that.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, and then and then him, Gojo, his like desire to like make her happy and to, you know, create beautiful things, that was a cool journey for him too.
Yeah.
Because they kind of like, okay, this is the cross section for us. We happen to be on the same path.
Yeah. Correct.
And now, are we here yet, Jack? Have we made it to the top 10, sir?
We made it this far.
We made it to the top 10.
And we're doing back and forth for this one.
All right. Are you going to be ready for this?
I am ready.
Because I don't think you're ready for this. Because I think there's some prizes for shows that aren't on here and for shows that are on here.
And some that I haven't mentioned, but I played it just there. Let's put it that way.
10?
Yeah, I'll go first with my number 10. So my number 10 would have to be Princess Connect Redive Season 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Start from the high note.
Okay. Yeah, well, that ended up on my best of Isekai list.
Yeah.
But that was definitely, I'm glad that made it into your top 10 because I love, like I said, I love the resolution.
Yeah.
Getting to be able to go back into such a warm, comfortable anime. And they had one of the best first episodes, I think, of like anime this year.
Yeah.
Because it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
The jokes. Oh my god. The jokes. The rainbow vomit, which we see again in Chainsaw Man.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
Dare I say Chainsaw Man might have copied it? I don't know.
I think that's just a thing now. I think all vomit should be rainbow colors now. I mean, like, why not? I mean, hey man, they set a precedent.
I do admit that is my favorite closing of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. My number 10, The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting.
Wonderful.
I adored that show. I ended up liking it way more. The Team Cherry episode, I think, kind of like sealed the deal on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they just decide like, hey, we're going to do something different this episode. We're going to tell an entire story that's going to be hilarious. And then we're going to go back to the seriousness. And then just the cute, like, man, her mom being in a coma.
Yeah.
And his childhood and like the fighting and the backstories and just like the boss just trying to like keep the family together and like the people who have left and how they reflect on him. I was just like, man, this show is just, it got to me.
I don't blame you. I wish I would have stuck. It's like definitely a big honorable mention for me. It's not my top 10. I'm sorry. So my number 9, speaking of the devil, one that I had to put in my top 10. Number 9, Skeleton Knight from Another World.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was also in my top 10 or my top 5 isekai. A great show.
Yeah. One Isekai I forgot to mention, at least like I would put there in my honorable mentions, is Uncle from Another World.
I couldn't because Netflix.
I've yet to even catch up. They're still stalling with the show.
I have no idea what's happening with that show.
It's remarkable.
And Netflix just messed that show up. I mean, it's another deconstruction. It's another isekai deconstruction. It's a reverse isekai. It's a reverse isekai deconstruction of isekai.
With Sego lore and everything.
Yes. Which should make it the most awesome show in existence.
But it's something.
But Netflix has just, like, the way they've doled it out to people and the way it's just, I don't understand. Okay, if you don't have episodes to show, that's fine. But leave it in my list.
Yeah.
The show disappears.
I know. Same
from
for me.
Netflix.
I know.
So it's like I can't go back and rewatch the other episodes because it's gone and then it comes back and then it's gone again. And it's like I feel like when they talk about Netflix jail, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
It's like literally like, hey, you want to watch this show? You can today, but maybe not tomorrow.
That's
like, what?
That's
so I had to like
the biggest fool of 2022 is definitely Netflix.
Yeah, I think that the show has merits. I don't know that it belongs on anybody's top 10, but I definitely think that the show has its merits.
It makes me think, after Crunchyroll Awards, you name it, even Reincarnated as a Sword, basically like what is going to be the most popular one? Is that going to be thrown in there? Is Skeleton Knight going to be thrown in there too? Who knows? All right. Well, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is it's actually a tie.
Okay, fair.
It's Aharen-san and Edge Runners. Sorry, Jack.
Can you just choose Aharen-san for me?
No. Sorry.
All right, well, let's discuss.
Okay, let's discuss. Well, Aharen-san, we actually did an episode of the show for that will be released pretty soon.
It will be out soon.
So we actually talked about that. Jack and I both adored this show.
It's good. And because we didn't do comedies, or at least straight up the category mentioning it, it definitely is an honorable mention there.
Yeah. This show takes kind of like the social anxiety thing and
the less extreme of a bunch, the most realistic of a bunch, even more so than Komi.
I don't know. I would say that it's the most normal of the bunch because it doesn't, unlike Komi or unlike Bocchi-chan, it's pretty grounded in the school. Like, this is definitely a slice of life school comedy.
Yeah.
And it's the awkwardness of an odd couple.
Yeah.
With the big man, little girl trope going on. But I think it manages to be cute and funny, but without being overly... It manages to handle being both cute and funny without being overly cheesy or corny.
Precisely.
Or without being so saccharinely sweet that you're just like, oh,
no,
God.
It's just there and it's mundane to the T. And like...
it's mundane, but it's hilariously mundane.
And it has Kaguya-sama moments where they're like random, like, what's that word called? Kind of like extremes. Like the imaginations just have the extremes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Raito, his assumptions and just the extremes to which they go are one of the driving forces of the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, almost to a point where Aharen-san almost gets like she loses the spotlight.
Yeah,
at times.
I would argue so.
Yeah,
and what I mean with the most realistic, most like understandable of the bunch, because she pretty much has a speech dialect where she literally has low speaking voice. It's a real thing.
But she has a hard time judging the volume of her voice.
That as well.
and whether the closeness, like her perceptions, like really way off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Raido's the perfect character to bounce off that because he kind of has a thing too.
Yeah.
And we're not demeaning anything in regards to like their special needs or anything, more
No.
a sense of like their communication.
Yeah.
And everyone has a communication
I mean,
problem.
at the end of the day, they're just like two oddballs that their relationship works.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, because he's devoted to being friends with his seatmate, and she's just like, she's trying to find balance.
Yeah, and it has the nicest turn of the bunch too.
I think so.
Surprisingly so, especially the first season. So I'm like,
Well, I think it's consistent throughout the entire season.
yeah,
They know their characters. They have you can tell that they have a certain respect and love for their characters.
yeah,
And so they treat them well throughout the season. And even the little side characters that you get just add on to the hilarity.
yeah.
So yeah, and so we'll be talking much more about this very soon. But the tie for number 9 was Edge Runners, Jack. What are you gonna do about that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all,
Meh.
Mister. What about Edge Runners?
Okay. Well,
What about Studio
for
Trigger?
context, we mentioned our summer or fall preview
Mhm.
for Jack. He's a big Studio Trigger fan,
Yes.
and Trigger happened to produce this production from a video game called Cyberpunk. Now, the initial poll was the video game, and I was in comment boards on Twitch channels here and there. People were like, "Okay, that's not," because they announced it during like a Cyberpunk update expansion thing. Everyone was inclined with more of the game. Then that once people saw the Cyberpunk trailer for Edge Runners, they're like, "Oh, okay." Well, barely any reaction. And I'm like, "Yo, this is Studio Trigger. It's gonna look great. It's gonna be their take on Ghost in the Shell. It's gonna be their take on Blade Runner, essentially." No, it's a take on the game, but it tries to do something that it tries to do the Studio Trigger ethos. For me, in my perspective, my criticism of the show, it doesn't pan out whatsoever. That's my mild take on it.
I think that the music, the characters, the story, like I have my own problems with Cyberpunk 2077.
I can't help but think about the story because everything else
Well,
is
hold-
like
hold
Trigger.
on. Hold on. Let me make my argument. Like, when we were doing this, I was talking about Chainsaw Man. And Jack was really disappointed that I hadn't brought up Edge Runners because we both love Studio Trigger. I mean, we've done episodes about a bunch of their shows. Some of my favorites and some of Jack's favorites are Studio Trigger shows. So he was surprised that I hadn't brought up Edge Runners. Now, my problem with Edge Runners had nothing to do with Studio Trigger. It had nothing to do with Jack's excitement about it. Mine was my reluctance to enjoy that show all came down to my reluctance, my disdain for Cyberpunk 2077. Now, because I mean, everybody knows what a shit show the release of that game was
Probably the worst of
on
bunch.
the PS4.
The
If you
worst.
didn't have a next generation console, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But not only that, the nihilistic stories that were contained within that universe.
It sadly made Grand Theft Auto 5 story more coherent.
Well, it wasn't about the coherency of the story. It was just the nihilistic nature of the characters.
Okay.
Like their only choice to escape was to be one of these fixers, and they all ended up dying.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, what? I'm like, Grand Theft Auto lets you live at least. With Cyberpunk, it's like, all right, these people are all gonna end up dead.
Yeah.
And I knew that before when Jack mentioned Edge Runners, I'm like, I don't know, Jack, because I know how this is gonna play out. I already knew before I even watched the show. These people gonna die. They're gonna die because that's what happens. Because it's the people at the top and the middlemen that live. They get these people to do these jobs for them, and these people will destroy their bodies to try to be legends. And what do they say in Cyberpunk 2077? The only legend is a dead one. That's who the legends are.
Yeah.
The people who have burnt out their minds, burnt out their bodies. And I knew that Edge Runners was going to do the same thing. And I went in there, and I actually liked this show. I think it's one of the best shows of the year. I think that the art, the opening, the art, the characters, the character designs, I thought it was all well done. The story for me, like I said, but the story for me is a personal thing. It's not a like I don't hate on it because it was, because it wasn't, not because I have my own personal reasons for hating on the story.
Yeah.
I don't think that the story was bad. I thought it was a little generic.
For me, it just didn't
Yeah,
pan out.
I think for me it was a little generic.
Yeah.
But like I had my own reasons because I think it was nihilistic, unnecessary. But I think everything else, I think Studio Trigger did an amazing job. They actually reined themselves in because I think that it could have been even more bombastic than it was, art wise and everything else. They fit into the world of Cyberpunk. It felt like I was back in the game, in the world of the game. Rebecca, Lucy, David, I thought that all the characters were well done. I liked their character designs. They were reminiscent of other things, but I think that Rebecca probably deserves to be on the list of best girls for the year.
Most unique looking.
Yeah, definitely. Well, just the ride or die, like she's there with David to the end no matter what. And she's there.
Kiwi too. I like Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi's pretty cool. But like, yeah, I mean, me and Jack, I think are going to have to agree to disagree on this one.
It's it's the number one of the year for
But
sure.
I think for
and how it turned too. How it turned.
I think for Jack's, I think for Jack, this is, I don't think that he's approaching this objectively, but, and I usually say when I'm not, I will say like with ReZero, it comes down to my personal reasons
Yeah.
that are not objective. And I will say that. I will say that. And I think that's what this situation is. And then we will move on to Jack's number, what is this?
Number 8.
Yep.
Alrighty. For my number 8, this was a tough one because from here on out, it's really hard to rank them. Rent a Girlfriend Season 2, number 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this was going to make it onto your list, Jack. I knew it.
Well, as Edwin keyed it out during my Slice of Life review, I ranked it initially as number 3 for the season. And everyone's like, well, you love the show. You love the show. I do. It's a really tug-in show for me, though, because I relate with the character tremendously. Almost in the same vein as Bocchi, because Bocchi's that extreme that everyone has social anxiety. With Rent a Girlfriend, though, the main character, he just has this way with people, how he communicates, how he overreacts with things. That's Jack 101. Especially with a lot of girls in scope. Like, how can you contact with one of them at all? But the show is complete opposite of my life, don't get me wrong. It's just a matter of like how he interacts with these people and how he makes everything super important. And that's the theme of this season. Like the things that kind of like get buried in the sand. Even her dreams are kind of like placed in the sand, like I guess I'll keep on doing it. But she needs reaffirmation. That's what he does. He pretty much like has to get her out of this cycle of doubt. That's the whole premise of pretty much his interactions with all the girls. So
yeah,
it's a weird show where similar to Komi, it definitely has a factor and it pays off.
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed this season way more than the last season.
It's a million times better than first season.
I know that there was still a lot of complaints, but I thought that their relationship really grew this season. And I don't think it was as this season was a lot less about awkward situations. And this season was more about the growth of their relationship.
Precisely.
So I know a lot of people still hate on this show because of the basic premise or whatever, but it's like, get over it. I think it's a great show.
Yeah, agreed. Then what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Call of the Night.
Good placement. Very good placement.
Yeah,
it's in your top 10 at least.
It makes it into my top 10. It's higher than the other ones. It makes it into top 10 just for the opening and closing.
Yeah.
Like just that.
And
alone.
how unique it is.
Just the sense of like how it captures that sense of what it is to be young and out at night, that electricity, that magic.
That lore, yeah.
Yeah, like just that by itself is worth you watching it.
Yeah. Okay, then for my number 7, I hated myself so much for placing it there. Reincarnated as a Sword is my number 7.
Oh, Jack.
I know. I hate it. You can blame me all you want. And this is the show we've talked the most about today, and for good reason. So for now, it's number 7 on Jack's list.
All right, my number 7 is Komi Can't Communicate Part 2.
Shock moment number
Mhm.
4.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, technically, this whole list has been a shock moment. So you know what? This is the shock moment of the. Anything you want to add for the season part 2 for
No.
Komi? All right. Okay, for my number 6, I think the other one would be like, what the fuck, Jack? Demon Slayer Entertainment District.
What?
See?
Yeah, that's a shock to me, man. That's a shock to the system, dude. That was so good.
Well, I will say this: if this doesn't win Best Anime of the Year
You'd be really surprised.
in the Crunchyroll, for
Yeah.
sure. But this is my personal favorite list.
Okay, okay. No, I went a little bit different with this list, and so my number 6 is My Dress Up Darling.
I completely do not give you any flack whatsoever for
Yeah,
putting it out there. That high too.
Yeah, I think that it managed to edge out the other ones by like its originality,
Yeah,
its relationships, its art.
art's underrated. I
Yeah,
give you that.
the
Yeah,
art was really well done. The way it managed its humor, like yeah, there's some moments where I'm just like there was weaknesses, but I thought for me it had to be higher than like Aharen-san is cute, but it doesn't reach the level of like maturity I think that My Dress Up Darling does.
yeah,
And Marin just okay, stole my heart.
yeah. I know.
Yeah,
And
she stole my heart.
and like I was trying to mention, like kind of plays that seasonal girl kind of thing, the trope, like Uzaki, like Nagatoro. But no, she's quite different. And this is a show that concentrated more on passions and hobbies.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't help but like the girl for that at least.
It kind of reminds me of like a couple but not lovers,
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
wherein that she's not exactly what he thinks she is.
Yeah.
Like they get that out of the way real fast. And I was glad because I'm like, all right, they got that out of the way real fast. Like she doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's really down to earth. To her, it doesn't matter. She's not going to try to. She teases him in the second episode, but then that's where it ends.
Yeah.
And they become friends. And then she realizes.
That second episode's key. Very key.
Yeah.
I
They
understand.
become-
Understandably
yeah.
so. Yeah.
They become like the entire arc of a couple, but
Married
a couple,
couple, yeah.
yeah, married couple, but not lovers. Essentially happens within the first 2 episodes of My Dress Up Darling.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's how you handle that, okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, learn
Fair.
your lessons
Fair.
from a much better anime.
I like Edwin's analysis.
There you go. So what is your number 5, sir?
My number 5. My number 5. My number 5. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Call him Night.
Call of Night is your number 5.
From-
Why are you okay?
This 5-1 maybe could have been top 2 from last year.
Okay.
Call him Night, like any different year could be number
Well,
1.
because there was other things. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially for you, because that's
Yeah.
going to be. I think this is where our lists are going to diverge the most
Very much so.
because of the stuff that you have already mentioned.
Yes, yes.
Because my number 5 was Chainsaw Man.
I do not hate this show.
Hmm.
It's not in my top 10.
Yeah.
Spoiler, but I do not hate this show.
Yeah. I think it's probably one of the best shonen to come out in a while. I love what it does. I think it's visually. I think the opening.
It took me a while with the vision. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
the opening is amazing. I think that Mappa does a great job. Like some people will go back and forth on the art.
Yeah,
I think they've done a phenomenal job.
I would say like until they go to that mystery hotel thing, that's where the art finally sells it.
Yeah.
The first couple episodes kind of gunky, especially they're outside and they're dealing with a dark show. The dark overtones overtook it. Like in the manga, it felt like more poppy, more like punky, more like hey, almost like Trigger. Like this is cool looking anime manga, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think that I mean they might have let that. I think for me it was a little too bright given the subject matter.
that's what I mean. Like
did
looking at
like-
those book covers, especially.
Yeah, I did but I like the artwork. I like the story. I like the characters. I like how the characters interacted with each other.
Yeah,
And I got it. I'm like, these are all little kids. They're all little kids.
doing grown up shit.
Doing some seriously
Yeah.
fucked up grown up
E-
shit.
even like possessed.
Like, and they just don't get it. Makima, she might be the only one that gets it, but she's absolutely terrifying. That woman is terrifying.
yeah,
Like, I don't know what she is. I don't know who she has a contract with, but she's terrifying, and I want her to stay that way. I want her to become even more terrifying as the show goes along, because I want something in that show to be genuinely scared of. And right now, it's her, because she was dead. Like, I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like my only complaint is, and I think a lot of people would agree, is while they're children, the show doesn't always have to be as juvenile as it can be. Yeah, there are moments where just like,
No, like I mentioned with like the hype aspect of it, like why so many people, mainly younger readers, Jack, you're past the threshold, understandably so.
I'm way past the threshold,
No,
and I
no, no,
still
but
like,
that's what I mean. Like, okay, it's
yeah.
selling like crazy. Why is it selling? Like, is it what the message? No, it's targeted
Well, it was
precisely where it's
well,
targeted
no, I
to.
mean, it
Yeah.
was the same thing with. I had the same feeling about this show that I did about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
It's like, this is going to be a shonen, that reminds me. It reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit like the character. It's the story, because Power and Denji
Denji, yeah.
are, they're essentially developmentally disabled.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't been socialized. I mean, Power, because she's a fiend, so she hasn't been socialized.
Even more so than
So she's just a
Denji, yeah.
jackass.
Yeah.
She's a stupid jackass most of the time. Denji hasn't been socialized either. He's spent all of his time essentially living as a dog, as a servant for these people,
Yeah.
and so they haven't been socialized. And so when like people were complaining about like, oh, his only desire in the world is to touch a boob, I'm like, well, because he's been locked in a fucking closet
Yeah.
for like 10 years. Yeah, toast with jam and a boob is like a lot to him.
Heaven.
It's like, that's like he's living the dream, because yeah, he hasn't been socialized as an adult.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a child. Same thing with Power. They're children that are being used by the system because they're also really powerful monsters. And that's where the show gets its uniqueness, and it gets also its kind of like ick quality,
Yeah.
but ick in a good way, because it's like, okay, I can sit back and I can watch these people being abused, in a way that I don't always see, but it's not real. It's just a cartoon. They're being used.
Yeah.
They're being used. They're being manipulated with like sex, and it's like
Status, you name it.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
and power.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's not something you normally get from a show. You get it, but not to this degree. And I'm like, whoa. So that's definitely something different. Add that to the artwork, the music, the fights, and you've got something really different. And I think that that's where the hype is coming from. Some people will call this their anime of the year.
Yeah, I know.
No doubt.
And who, like right now as we speak with the my anime list rankings, it has 9. Bocchi's like number 3. The Attack of Titans thrown in there. Demon Slayer, you name it.
Yeah.
Who knows what happened? And Crunchyroll's a different beast too because fans are voting. So.
Yeah. What's your number 5?
Or no, okay.
Or would it be your number 4?
My number 4. 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 Edwin's gonna shake his head like a fiend, like
Gonna-
Power.
I'm going to beat you with this speaker, Jack, apparently.
Number 4, Spy Family.
What?
Seasons 1, season 2.
Chad, number 4?
Number 4. Mind you, Demon Slayer is number 6.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, Jack. You've done lost your mind.
Alrighty.
You put Anya and Yor at number 4.
I have shows that I like a hairpin more, but
You are wrong, sir. Wrong.
like if this was the like Academy Awards, if this was like Cannes Film Festival, Spy Family would win for manga and anime. But for my personal list, once again, it's my number 4. Because mainly because the other 3, they affected my heart. They grew my heart more like the Grinch. So
There's something wrong with you
no,
in your head.
no.
You are damning, sir.
No.
Because my number 4 is Lycoris Recoil.
All right.
Woohoo!
Not in my top 10, but it's not a big...
Which I don't understand either. I don't get it. I don't get it. This show had so many moments for me where I was just cheering at the screen,
Yeah, I know.
and like that doesn't always happen. Like I'll be watching anime, I'm like, oh man, this is cool, this is awesome. But there were moments where I was just like, yes, hit that bitch, and it was just like, and just the transformation of these characters, and you get some of the same tropes, you get the cute stuff, you get the aquarium scene, but the aquarium scene is so important because at that point Chisato has gotten Takana to actually relax, and when they do the little sakana,
Yeah.
the little fish thing, you're like, okay, she's got her there.
Yeah.
And just these action adventure gags, like the whole thing where she's wearing the VR helmet and she just flips all Matrix style, and then that's where Takana realizes that she's wearing men's boxers, and it ends up being like this whole oh my god,
A whole other experience.
yeah, it's just like oh man, she's like the look on her face, the expressions in this show, the music, the expressions, the fight scenes, the battles. Yeah, there's some stuff where you're just like, ugh, God, what, why? But overall, I'm like, I just fell in love with these two, and I just couldn't I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm hoping to at least make a little upset in the Crunchyroll Awards or something along those lines, because I feel like
I hope so too. I think it's a dark horse. The guy on Glass Reflection, shout out to him. It was one of his honorable mentions.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
So,
Your number 3, Jack.
Number three.
Oh God, you're really scaring me with this list, man.
Komi Can't Communicate.
Really?
Number 3.
Is this because of peer pressure?
No,
Jack?
far from it.
Is this peer pressure? Is this Jamal's peer pressure finally
A little context.
weighing down on
A
you?
little context. Last year I had as my number 4.
Yeah.
And I still had a little bit of, not criticism, but more of a sense of like I'm still getting used to it vibes. Especially coming from the manga. Because the first couple volumes up to like volume 15, 16, 17 range, it's almost like the same style and beat for beat kind of thing. And I adore it. And even though it gets kind of repetitive by 13, 14-ish, I still love it. And what I mentioned with our manga for the year for Komi, the later ones are interesting. It's definitely a different turn. And you're hoping that it's not like the ultimate resolution. I don't think it will be, to be honest.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like with this bubble of time with the earlier volumes, it's fine on full display, at least for this second part. We're talking about Komi with the CAD Cafe, the snowball fight, video game party. You see more of Komi's mom. Oh.
Jack's favorite moments.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a tie for my number 3.
You have 2 ties in your top 10. I don't blame you. It's such a
it was a hard year to and then there was people there. This last season by itself was just throwing curveball after curveball at me. I'm like, so Love is War, Ultra Romantic is number 3.
Wow.
With Bocchi the Rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like I said, this is shock 10.
Yeah. I mean, Love is War probably would have made it to number 1 if, other things hadn't happened this season or this year. But for me, there were some things that just snuck in there and were like, okay, we're better. I'm like, okay, you win. I can't and then Bocchi the Rock just whoa, it snuck in there and just
It catapulted, ultimately.
It did. It really did, because it was like, all right, I have Love is War Ultra Romantic, and in a different year, that probably would have been my number 1.
Yeah.
In a different year, that would have been my number 1, but then there were things that showed up that I didn't expect at all to be like, oh, this is going to be but when I started watching Bocchi the Rock, I'm like, will this be one of my favorite shows? I don't know. I like it, and then it stole it raised, it went up to the level of like the same thing with this show. It's like this could be somebody's number one of the year. I mean,
At
because
least for comedy, at least for slice of life, something else.
well, for a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and just like Jesus, the experimentation on this show, the different art styles,
Similar Fooly Cooley, similar to Kill la Kill even.
yeah. Like it's a thing unto itself. And Ultra Romantic, the way it ends, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, I know.
Like just my heart couldn't take it. Like watching her try to shove the money into the machine and the machine's just not taking it. And she's like, I'm like, I can't take this.
The tension.
Yeah, oh my God. I'm like, I can't take this. She's so desperate. And she's so desperate to give him a heart, to give him anything. The little scams, the little things. And then he's just there like full on Sailor Moon bullshit, like out of nowhere. You're
Mr.
just
Tuxedo,
like,
man.
Yep. And you knew he was doing something.
Yep.
And here he pulls it, Mr. Tuxedo Man. And I'm just like,
I know.
yeah. Yeah. So that's the why number 3s. So what is your number 2, Jack?
I'm humbly accept this as a number 1A, or technically a number 1B. But to be fair, it's 2. I hate myself. I hate myself for months with this placement. Ascendance of Bookworm season 3, number 2.
Well, that's why I made a separate list, Jack, because it was killing me. I had that needed, the Isekai needed its own list
It's one of the greatest. Like I said earlier, it's not even like one of the greatest isekais. It's one of the best animes.
Yeah.
I emphasize that for a book as well, for manga and light novel. This is experience in itself, because each episode's a heartstring with a heartstring being cut and being built and being cut and being built.
It's because the writer manages the world building so well.
Yeah, and it
the
leaves
character development and
and it leaves you at the point where it's just going to be another world,
mm-hmm.
another adventure. Genius.
Yeah. Well, it's because the world building is so tight, so tight,
for
so
tight.
small that you get to see it expand time after time. But with each expansion, it's a new danger. Like at first, she was defeated by a door. Yeah. That first episode, the bed and then the door, and she overcame each one. And each one is like either a gate or a door that opens up into another world, and it's the same city. But he does such a masterful job of creating that world building where here is what's happening. These are your conflicts. These are your characters. Boom, clash.
Precisely.
And this is like, this looks like it could be a Saturday morning cartoon, but the stakes are so unbelievably high that it's like Kaguya-sama, Love is War Ultra Romantic. It's like the tension, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? That final fight scene, finally, where you're like, yes! So I understand. My number 2 is Spy Family.
No shame in that.
Yeah, I loved, the Anya and Yor and Midnight, I mean, Folger guy, they all, and then now
the Ice Princess.
Yeah, now it's just it
Frost, technically Frost.
It snuck in there and just like captured my heart with the opening, the music, and Anya's mispronouncing shit. It's just like
it and good old Bond saying "Worf."
Yeah,
Worf.
Like the closing, I think, especially for the second season, just lends that family, that poppy 60s, like spy thing vibe
the
to
ultimate
it.
makeshift family.
Yeah, where it's just like you can't help but fall in love with them.
Yeah.
Like with Yor and Anya and wanna like it's like so many people have told me that they can't watch it week per week because the episodes go by so fast.
I'm guilty of that.
And you just end up wanting more.
Yeah.
Every time an episode finishes, you're just like, wait, I want more.
I've done a 2-week break in between, at least 3 episodes in a row.
I stopped in the middle of the season and just watched the rest of them in a go.
Yeah.
Because I knew that this was going to be my problem.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is one of those things. I don't know if you guys want to watch this like this, but like, My Spy Family is just like boom,
Yeah.
just yeah.
Because the intrigue stuff, the spy stuff, piecing it together, I'm not too on the nose with it, to be honest. That's the only weak part of the show.
The spy stuff
No, like the politics of it, like East West.
doesn't matter.
Well,
It's not really.
it's in context of the Cold War. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like later in this season, knowing where Midnight is, I'm like, okay, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was this team kind of thing
Okay.
for this agency.
Oh, it confused you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he's technically a spy, but I didn't know he was technically in enemy territory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was the other way around.
No.
Okay. Because he's safe, quote unquote.
Well, that's why he got married and like he has a fake family.
And for your
well, that's why Yor needed to get married because they would think that she was a spy.
Yeah.
Which I don't really understand because she has her brother who can protect her from that kind of stuff.
And he works for the the Secret Service. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that she exactly knows that he worked. I don't remember whether or not she knows that.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Like what each side, East and West,
what they know.
What
well,
they
yeah,
know,
because
and how they proceed with
you
things.
have spies within spies,
Yes.
and then you have people undercover, and so you're like, wait,
you're getting
there's things that you're supposed to know, things that you aren't supposed to know. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Because like Anya sees the future, or Anya can read minds.
Yes.
Bond can see the future, but not everybody knows that. So you have to like remember, like, oh, he doesn't know that, and she doesn't know that, and they don't know that she's this and she's that, and this and that and that.
And yours a secret assassin.
Yeah. Like,
but which side is she on?
I know who's giving her assignments.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered, but I think that they will be in the future. But it keeps it all interesting and funny.
And there's going to be a movie this coming year. Oh my God. They're spoiling us rotten with this one.
And now, Jack, what is your number one anime of 2022? Lay it on me, man. I know what it is.
Like I said, I was so sick to my stomach because Ascendance, right as I finished it, I knew it was going to be number one. Like, I love this goddamn show too much. But this one little show just...
Oh, yeah, dude. There's no question in my mind as to what this is because it's like, come on.
Yeah. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Season 3.
Really?
Oh, what were you thinking?
Ranking of Kings.
Oh, no, that's for ongoing.
What?
Yeah.
What?
My number one is Kaguya-sama, Love is War, Season 3.
Not Ranking of Kings?
It's not in my top 10. Or at least because it's ongoing. They're going to do another season coming up. So, it's 2 years technically, 2020 and 2021. So, the same thing with Attack on Titan and My Hero. So, I'm doing for the year.
My brain is fritzing out here. I mean, I'm happy that Kaguya-sama Love is War Ultra Romantic is on your list, and then it's number one, but that it's not like, okay. my brain's going to go sit over here because it's exhausted right now.
I know. It's the same dilemma with Spy Family, technically, because shows are so good. And Demon Slayer, too. Shows are so good. I gotta highlight the ones that are, like, done for the year. Like, this is it for a while. Who knows?
Yeah.
And this one, because they're having another movie coming out later in this year as well, I think it's a recap, ultimately, the final episode, right? Like, kind of in that vein for the movie, for Kaguya-sama.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it's something in those lines. Similar to Odd Taxi and To the Woods.
Odd Taxi.
Yeah, I know. Let's not mention that. But for Kaguya-sama Season 3, like the second season, it was the more dramatic aspects of it. Tastefully so. And then the instances of like both characters like finally crossing those boundaries. This is the one where they had to question those boundaries. And then, of course, our main character being like, okay, I'm going to be jumping out of this. I'm going to college in a different country. Kaguya, she has to make her break with it. But the other
now or never,
but the other elements sneak in. And of course, with the tension scene with Mr. Tuxedo, that's just a cherry on top. Like the real cusp of the ethos of the show is the final freaking seconds where they're holding hands. How can you not put that as like a top tier moment in anime history? I'm sorry. So, mind you, this is my favorite romance and my favorite comedy. It's a perfect marriage, and it's a top 10. To see that conclusion there, even with the movie coming out, even possible season 4, and the manga is finishing up too, so there's a lot more to go for. They're technically a couple now, so
yeah. My number one anime of 2022 was Demon Slayer Entertainment District. And this goes back to Mugen Train, when the kid who's trying to kill him gets lost within his soul,
Yeah.
and how the little sprites they show him where Tanjiro's soul is at. And it's like this beautiful, blue, serene place. The kid's like, why are you helping me find the thing that I can use to kill you?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and when Tanjiro finally defeats the demons, it's less like he's killing them and more like he's releasing them from their suffering.
Especially for this entertainment district
Yeah.
arc. Yeah.
It's like they've suffered so much. They've been preyed on not only by society but by this guy. And Tanjiro is there, and it's this weird benediction, almost like his sword is like not holy water, but his sword is this sacred thing. While they die, it's almost like he's giving them their souls back to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So he's almost like this weird. I don't want to make it sound like it's a religious thing, but it's almost like this sacred experience of like he's giving them some. It's not that he's not taking anything away from them.
Their flaws, their
Those
sins.
things are there.
Yeah, they're always
But
there.
like it's like he's absolving them of their sins and giving them back their souls.
Yeah.
It was so profound that like I'm even starting to tear up now.
Yeah.
But it was like just the pain that I'm like, yeah, these are monsters and they've been feeding on people and killing them and causing all kinds of disasters. But it's because this guy took some people that were really, really fucking broken,
Yeah.
and he turned them into demons. And that fear and that terror and that anger is still driving them in this regard. And Tanjiro can almost feel that pain. He almost like takes it into himself,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, for me, like, those moments were like the whole thing itself was so well done. You could tell that they had more money for production value, music wise, like illustration, everything,
Yeah.
art design, everything. You could tell they had more money. But it was those moments where I'm like, just, yeah.
Yeah. And you're in that aspect of it, and that's just one one trillionth of what the show packs in.
Yeah.
And that's a profound one. That's probably one of the top ones, probably number one. But for me, like this entertainment district arc, the action,
Oh,
the
yeah.
cliffhangers.
Dude.
Oh my god.
Are they dead? Are they not dead?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you had one awesome fight scene. Now you move into another one. Now they're underground, and now they're using like, yeah.
And mind you, the opening is the greatest curveball of them all. Like the wonderful song, fireworks going off. Everyone's just like da 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 da.
And you're like, oh, monsters,
No, these are guys that are,
demons.
like they're way ahead of themselves. That's the whole theme of the show. Even more so than My Hero, you're way ahead of yourself, Pandandro. But you still got the heart, and you still want to care for your friends and your sister. That's cool too. Her transformation as well, very profound. And oh man, where it's leaving off towards, I'm like, no, press on the brakes, please. Because if you're going to pull me even more for the next one, because a lot of people say the following arc is even better. I'm like,
Let's see what happens.
we'll
there.
see. I don't know, because
That's a lot to
because
pack
we
in.
got the movie, the first movie, and then now this coming up, which is another or second movie technically. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, let's see, because they have the money now. They have the money to make this exceptional.
It's a phenomenon for strong reasons. With that said, we thank you, dear listeners, for checking out the 950 Club's top favorites of
2022.
with my partner Edwin. He's been patient with me, and we're striving for a new and better year. Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you, Jack, for all the efforts that you've put in to make this show possible, sir. For the editing and production and social media content. Thank you. I can't show my appreciation enough. And
You gave some good gifts this year for Christmas. I tried to do the same for you.
I did. You did. We did. We took care of each other, man. I
Yep.
think we're set. But thank you guys for listening in. 2022 was a tumultuous year, but there was a hell of a lot of great anime.
Some of the best.
So check out some of the ones on their list. Leave comments. Let us know what's on your list. And we'll be back soon. Thank you. This is the 950 Club.
Woo!
Woo woo!
Damn, friend. My favorite quote of the year.